Awesome, awesome. Sorry, I have been MIA. I learned a very important lesson this past week. The lesson that I learned was if your computer is making a funny noise, don't kick it. Because that will actually not solve the problem and will in fact make it worse. I killed the drive on my last computer. I say last because it doesn't come back from that. Diet Coke, sponsor me. Better than Pepsi. See, look at that. I'm an ad coming up with Goldmine. Like, I'm a goldmine at this.
You want to get together again some other time?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed my time, and yeah, I have enjoyed it a lot, but
Yeah, I heard that butt coming. I knew she was gonna say butt.
Yeah, if you would like to get together again, I definitely would like to get to know you a little bit more.
Oh, excellent.
Oh my god. Okay, so what we just saw there was a manipulation of the editors. Her saying that butt when she didn't actually have a butt, that means that one of the producers on set, because that's how reality TV shows work, they have producers that are on set that instruct you to say things. One of the producers instructed her to say but as if she was going to tell him no in order to build up suspense. I understand why that's necessary, but I feel like that is a big part of the problem that I have with the show, is that they are building up unnecessary tension to make it seem like autistic people are harder to date. And that's just not true.
You don't mind if I walk with you to the station, do you?
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay, thank you very much.
They're cute. I hope they stay together. This is the one I'm mutuals with. Kaylin. Kaylin and I are mutuals on TikTok. So far, even though we have not conversed, she is a very sweet human being. I adore her.
Did you tell any of them your diagnosis?
No.
That is a very important question for autistic people. You know, at what point do you tell them about your diagnosis? I kind of don't have any way of avoiding telling them on the first date because people ask me what I do for work and I tell them that, you know, I'm a social media influencer and also an advocate. And they're like, oh, you know, what do you do? What's your niche? What's your thing? And then they look me up online and they find out that I'm an autism advocate and I'm actually autistic. It's literally written in my bio. So it's like, I don't have a choice most days anymore. But also, just so you know, if you don't feel comfortable telling your partner that you are autistic, if you do not feel comfortable telling your partner that you are autistic, that is okay. You are not a bad person for that. You are doing what you have to keep yourself safe, and that is all right. You are under no obligation to tell them, if ever, that you are autistic. I mean, if they really love you, they'll probably guess, but you are under no obligation to tell them you are autistic. Like, you don't go on a date and like say, here's my doctor's note. Like, no, that's you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
I had to just tell him that I have autism and this is actually my service dog. And he stood up and left.
Okay, that guy was an ableist piece of shit. Point blank, period. If somebody has a service dog, you are not entitled to information as to why they have that service dog. If somebody has an accessibility tool, you are not entitled to information as to why they need that accessibility tool. That goes for service dogs, that goes for wheelchairs, that goes for crutches, that goes for mobility aids. Any accessibility tool, you are not entitled to information as to why they need it. What you need to know is that they need it and they're using it and how to make the world accessible for them. That's it. I've been on dates with guys like that and they're annoying. Like, even if you don't tell them that you're disabled or why you're disabled, the thing is, those kinds of partners, they're not ones that are worth it in the long run.
No.
If somebody reacts that poorly to your diagnosis, then that says something bad about them.
Yes, it does. If somebody reacts badly to your diagnosis, that says something bad about them. But we also can't use that statement to diminish how shitty it fucking feels when you're the person being denied a date because of your diagnosis. Like, because it is true. Don't get me wrong. It is true. If they react that poorly to finding out you're autistic, they're just a piece of shit. But also, like, you're allowed to feel upset and hurt by a person who is a piece of shit treating you like that.
At James's house, it's the morning after his dinner date with Emma.
He was so excited last night.
All right, well.
Oh my gosh.
All right, yes, well, yes.
You're all smiles. Go ahead, you can smile now. I can see that smile.
Yes, well, thankfully
I can see it.
So, I really, and this is just my personal preference, I do not like it when people do that to me. When people like say things like, "Oh, I can see you're smiling. I can see you're smiling." Like, it makes me not want to show emotions ever again. I do not like feeling, because a lot of the times people see what they think is a smile, but is not actually what I feel at all. And it gets really annoying because people think they know what I'm feeling and then they don't. I hate it when people do that. But that's just me. But like, please do not try and guess my emotions based off of my face, because half of the time I have no fucking clue what my face is doing, and it's probably not doing it correctly. Like earlier today, I went to a museum and I saw a giant replica of the shark from Jaws. I think we can guess by the shark wall that I happen to be a fan of sharks. I happen to be a big fan of sharks, especially Jaws sharks, because that's an entire movie about a shark. And I saw a giant replica of the Jaws shark, and my face the entire time was like, I wasn't smiling. I wasn't like, I couldn't take my eyes off of the shark, but I wasn't making the same face that other people would make when, like, when people think that you're excited, you know, you make faces like, and my face was just blank, just big old Ricky eyes. Like, lights are on, but nobody's home because I went to go see the shark. But like, it you know, don't try and guess an autistic person's emotions based off of their faces, because that's just, you're probably not going to guess right. It's safer to just ask us how we're feeling.
All
Yeah, I suppose
right.
that's
Not too bad, huh?
Not too. Wow. Are we embarrassing you?
I think he's
Neat.
getting
It's
overwhelmed.
not very often you let anybody hug you.
No,
I think he's getting very overwhelmed.
It's pretty
right
amazing
now.
how she has a lot in common with me, shares many of my interests and hobbies. If I were a more paranoid type of person, I'd be a bit suspicious.
So I don't know what happened there, but there is some sort of editing that skipped over, because he was not comfortable at all. Did you hear the way his breathing was? How he was and he was hiding away? Like, you may not be able to judge an autistic person's emotions based off of our faces, but our body language is usually pretty consistent. And his body language stated that there was something that he was not comfortable with in that conversation. And he genuinely looked really overwhelmed to me. I can't, because there isn't a clear edit here, I cannot state what it was that was overwhelming him, but he was not okay. I really hope that they just, you know, gave him some like time and space or something, but there was something off.
What's news?
Yeah, like what's new in your world?
In 2023, I'm going to be a quarter of a century.
How does that make you feel?
I'm turning 28 in 2 weeks. That just made me sad. That just made me sad. I'm old.
Worried.
I'm over it.
It does make you feel worried, doesn't it?
I'm still young, right?
Yes.
But
Listen, you're young till you're like 50, and then it's downhill from there.
yeah, All
right, I'll
I've
take
got
it.
lots and lots of years.
Where do you want to eat tonight? You want to go somewhere? Hello?
Hi, Christine. It's David. Can I speak to Abby, please?
Yeah, hang on just a minute.
Hello?
Does Abby not have her own phone? Does she not have a cell phone of her own? That's because if that's not her Abby is a grown adult. Abby should have her own phone. And I could be wrong. That could just have been her mom picking up her phone for her. But this is actually a useful time to discuss how I feel about cell phones, technology, and how they intersect with autistic people. I actually think that cell phones are a really good tool, a really good safety tool for autistic people in all kinds of ways. I think they are a really good safety tool in the sense that most cell phones come with GPS technology, which is very useful when you have an autistic person who has one of the symptoms being compulsive wandering, which is an autistic symptom. That is just something that many of us do. We just do compulsive wandering. I do it literally all the time. Like, it doesn't matter where I'm at or what I'm doing. If I feel overwhelmed, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm gone. And GPS tools like a cell phone can be very beneficial in tracking that person's location so that you know that they're safe, so that they are, so that they're okay, so that they have somebody knowing where they are for safety purposes. I also think that cell phones are a very useful communication tool for autistic people. I think that because many of them have voice to text apps or text to voice apps, like where you can I have several apps that I use when I'm having nonverbal episodes where when I can't speak, I have apps that speak for me. And it's a lot cheaper than getting an AAC device, which can sometimes be very expensive if they're not covered by your insurance. I think that cell phones are a brilliant tool for that. I also think that social media is a fairly amazing tool for autistic people to find connection. I know so many autistic people who struggle with connecting with people in day-to-day life, but when they connect with people online, they don't face quite the same struggles, because when you're online, you have the whole world at your feet, a whole world of people that you can communicate with. And the beauty of having the whole world at your fingertips is that there is always somebody who's going to be like you. There is always somebody who is going to be exactly like you. And with the internet and social media, it's easier to find them. So I think that safely, of course, I think that all of these can be really good tools for people with autistic children with higher support needs, especially. If you have a teenager who's 14, 15, and they have higher support needs, their cell phone is going to be the best tool you can use for them.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, David.
How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me? Do you want to go on another date?
Right to the point, Abby. I love it. I love it. I love that. I love that. I love that. There's no beating around the bush. I love moments like that. That was so sweet. Can you hear me? Do you want to go on another date? Like that's a me moment right there. I do that.
But I can't carry big giant stuffed animals because it doesn't look
Fuck
mature.
maturity. Fuck maturity. Like, fuck what other people think. I'm sorry. Abby, you do you. Carry around the biggest fucking stuffed lion you can find because it makes you happy. If it makes you happy, fuck the rest of the world. It really annoys me that we have to dim ourselves down in order to fit in and in order to look like what people think we should look like. Like, if I want to carry around a giant stuffed shark, I am going to carry around a giant stuffed shark. And if anybody has anything to say about that, if anybody wants to shit on me or tell me that I look immature or that I look like a child or I look weird, I will make my stuffed shark eat them. I will feed them to my shark. I am going to do what makes me happy. And as long as I am not intruding on your personal space or stomping over your boundaries, then it's none of your goddamn business what I do to make myself happy. And if that involves a giant stuffed shark, or in Abby's case, a giant stuffed lion, so be it. Let autistic people enjoy things. Let people enjoy things, whether they're autistic or not.
I do like you so much, but
Yeah.
well, we should try not to kiss too soon. That's okay on our first date, but that's okay.
No.
It's everybody makes mistakes.
No, I get it. It's just.
I think that what happened was she got caught up in infatuation, which autistic people have a very difficult time telling the difference between infatuation and actual genuine feelings. And I think that she got caught up with the infatuation of, like, just, oh, this is a person who's handsome. He's entertaining me. I think I'm falling in love. Like, that's literally what happened in that episode. Was she said, this person is handsome, he's good looking, I'm in love with you. And I think that I that's something that happens to me sometimes. A lot. I've had it happen too many times. It's something that I actually have to, like, really work, like, that I've had to work on with myself, because I have had so many dates where I was just like, oh my God, I could really see myself falling madly in love with this person. And then, like, 2 dates later, I'm like, can we just be friends? Because I didn't actually like the person. I didn't know them enough to actually genuinely fall in love with or have feelings for that person. I just knew that I was attracted to them, and that was it. I fell in love with an idea of them more than I fell in love with the actual person. So, you know, that's why I like to set out a schedule, basically, for which I am allowed to behave around a person, not in the sense of, like, for me, like, looking normal or anything or playing by neurotypical rules. I have a specific set schedule for relationships so that I know that I have taken the time for myself to develop real feelings that I can tell a difference between. So, like, I don't say I love you until 3 months in, because I don't believe that I can truly get to know someone until 3 months. And that's at the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum, is 3 months. The only times I've broken that rule was they didn't end up good times. That's why I have that rule. And so, like, I like to say 3 months to the I love yous, because I'm a person who falls hard and fast. And then at, like, 6 months is when I start saying, oh, we're in a serious relationship. We're, like, semi-serious at 6 months. And then, let's see, what is it? And then, like, after a year, I start to consider, oh, hey, maybe we can move in together. I've lived with one person I was in a relationship with. It did not end well. We didn't move in together until we were, like, 3.5 years into the relationship. And they were honestly just a really bad person for me, like a really terrible person for me. But I still stand by my rule, you know? And around a year is when I'm like, okay, maybe I could see this becoming something permanent. I do hope that, like, when I do get engaged to somebody eventually, it'll be like not quick, like at a reasonable pace, because I don't want people falling in love with an idea of me. I want people to fall in love with me and who I am, which is why I have my schedule.
But you look absolutely amazing today. Like, I just can't stop seeing it.
I cannot stop seeing it too.
Okay, so let's talk about the unhealthy signs here. Let me clarify by stating that just because these are unhealthy signs of a relationship, like, it doesn't mean that they are bad people. It just means that this is something that they should work on. What he is doing, though I'm completely unaware this is unintentional, and I feel as though autistic people do this one unintentionally a lot, is he is love bombing her. That is not healthy. That is actually very toxic. You want to avoid, like, consistently, like, saying these things over and over again. Oh, you look so beautiful. You look so good. I like you so much. I like you so much. Because that just showers them with love bombs. And what can happen is that the person can get almost like addicted to the dopamine that is being released by hearing all these compliments. And when the love bombing stops, it can be like coming off of an addiction, and it can be very hard and very painful. And you don't want to do that to your partner. You don't want to do that to somebody. I have done it myself. It is something I've had to work very, very hard on not doing. Because for me, it comes from this, like, one, the filter between brain and mouth for me is just non-existent a lot. And for two, it comes from that infatuation of me being infatuated by the idea of love. And so, like, I just have to talk about it all the time. I just got to talk about it. I just got to say, I love you. 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 And it's not good. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for them. So when in a relationship, you should always be aware of the love bombing signs, because that is a sign of that can lead to codependency.
She's so cute.
Oh, man, it's just great spending time with you. It's just such
great.
a beautiful, lovely moment.
So they're kind of love bombing each other a lot. And what happens with relationships like this, where they start out like this and you start out love bombing each other, it fizzles out really quickly. Because once that love bombing goes away and you've stopped caring about whether or not you find that person cute, if there is no other foundation, you got nothing. You don't have a healthy relationship. So that's why you gotta avoid that kind of stuff. Like, if somebody tells me too much that I'm cute while I'm dating them, it's a no from me, because I do not want to be love bombed. I want somebody to love me, not love bomb me. And there is a difference.
I felt so love struck right now.
What does it mean? What does
Love
that mean?
struck, which means I'm still in love. I can feel the intimacy.
You cannot love somebody that you just met. You cannot truly love them. Not in a healthy way, because you don't know them. You love the idea that you've built up in your head about them. And that is a very important distinction.
The date is so fabulous. Some strawberries and the champagne. Oh, it's so lovely. I felt like I just need to get to know him a little bit more, but I do like him. Feeling romance, indeed, like...
Okay, saying I like, that's okay. On the second date, saying I like you, that's okay. Saying I'm in love with you, Red flag. Red flag.
Safe.
My gosh, I've been single all my life.
What? Can I just say, I don't know what it is about Steve and the way he introduced himself, but Steve gives off good vibes. So how the fuck has that man been single? How the fuck has that man been single? Steve gives off great vibes so far. I don't know. God, I'm letting it happen again. I was just talking about infatuation. Ricky, you can't do this to yourself.
A lovely lady. Oh my goodness. That would be an absolute dream come true.
Okay, maybe it's just autistic gut talking. Maybe this is just autistic gut. But I don't know. There is something good about his vibes. There is just something, like, you know, autism gut is just like, it's never wrong. Autism gut is never wrong. There is just something good about his vibes, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. There is just something about Steve that's making me like, this guy's sweet. We need to take care of Steve. We need to take care of him.
Then I'm okay with it, but I can't do it on my own.
Okay, I want to point out something here, because a lot of the times we talk within autism circles of, hey, you know, don't assume autistic people can't do something, right? It's not okay to assume autistic people can't do something, and assuming is not okay. Like, do not just automatically assume that an autistic person cannot do something, but it is also okay to admit when we as autistic people cannot do something without assistance. There is nothing wrong with needing assistance. And I appreciate, even if it's just small things like that, where he's just saying, you know, I need my personal assistant to help me with online dating. That is an okay thing. That is an okay thing. It is okay to need help. And I'm so glad that they have him stating that, yeah, I do need help. That is okay. That is perfectly fine. And even if you need help with bigger things, like some autistic people do need help, like going to the bathroom, that is okay. Some disabled people need assistance all their lives. They are not lesser people for it. You are never a lesser person for needing assistance.
I guess so.
Let's go, yeah.
Okay.
Nice background.
Oh.
I do have an issue with this music. I have an issue with this music. This is the kind of music that you see in kids' movies. Can you picture people on The Bachelor having this kind of music as they go out on dates and stuff and do things? Because I've never seen an episode of The Bachelor or Love is Blind where they have this kind of music. That's a big issue for me. Jeremy Andrew Davis on TikTok pointed this out, and I cannot unhear it. But this is the kind of music that you see in kids shows, and that is a problem. If you would not play this music on The Bachelor or Love is Blind, then that is a problem. That is you contributing to othering autistic people. That is you treating them differently, treating us differently than you would neurotypical people on dating shows. And I don't like that. I don't. That is one of the issues I have with this.
Oh boy, you're not kidding.
Okay. You want to stand here right in front of the painted ladies?
Sure.
So we can take a picture for the ladies.
I like it.
Say whiskey.
Whiskey a go-go, baby.
Okay, let's talk about picture taking for online dating sites, because online dating is actually typically, on average, more accessible to autistic and disabled people than organically meeting. So there is actually a science to getting more dates. I know that there is a science because I discussed the science when I was on an episode of Sexology with Shan. Shan Boudram is a sexologist on Instagram. She had her own show on Quibi for a little bit, for which I guest starred on an episode of Sexology with Shan on Quibi. But there is a science to Tinder bios and online photos. So basically, what you want to do is you want to have your first picture be your headshot. So like a frame, you smiling from like here to here, or even just your face. Then the second picture, you want to have that be a full body shot so that they know what your figure looks like, you know? And then the third picture, you want to show you doing something like your hobbies. And then after that, the fourth picture should be a picture with you and your friends, so they get a sense of what kind of people you hang around with. And if you don't have friends, use your family, like a picture of you and your family, so that they know what kind of people you spend your time around. This helps people better get a sense of who you are from just photos than like one picture in a bio. It gets a better sense of your personality, what your sense of humor is like, and it actually has been proven by Sexology with Shan, who is an actual licensed sexologist. It has been proven that it works, that it leads to a higher percentage of matches. And I personally find great success with this method. Like, I find a lot of success with it. So that is how to make a Tinder bio. So that is how to make a Tinder bio.
This is a little bit too windy.
A little bit.
That's so windy. Oh my God.
Hey.
For me, as an autistic person, this is just like every autistic person is different. So like this is just my issues. For me as an autistic person, wind is the most overstimulating thing I can experience. I fucking hate wind. I hope wind crawls into a corner and dies. I hope wind loses all of its teeth but one, and that one forever has a cavity. Like, I fucking hate the wind. Like Zara wants to nuke the moon. Zara on Jewish TikTok wants to nuke the moon. I want to nuke the wind because the wind has earned it more than the moon. But I'm also on team nuke the moon. Nuke the moon, everybody. That was a joke, but still.
Oh my gosh.
This is kind of cute, huh?
That one's nice too.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Oh, this is the real Steve.
That is, yes.
So that would actually be a really good personality picture. That would be a really good picture for him to use with like the one that shows like your personality, the one that shows your hobbies and things like that. That would be a really good picture for that one in particular. The first picture that you want to go to for creating an online profile is just a simple headshot, show with your eyes open if you can. You don't have to be looking at the camera. Just a simple headshot, eyes open, and a smile so that people can see your smile. Or if you're not, like, not everybody smiles. So like if you don't want to smile, but you don't want to come off like intense or like upset, the best thing that you can do is like a non-smiling picture that you want to come off as safe with your profile picture. For girls, it's very much like see how I have my eyes slightly squinted and mouth slightly open? It's like a little model shot. And then for boys, it's more like a mouth slightly down, head turned slightly down, intense eye contact with the camera.
What kind of things do you talk
Sabod!
about?
I love Sabod.
Mathematics.
Are you good at maths?
Yeah.
Wow, he's the one.
What's 7 times 13?
91.
What about 27 times 45?
1215.
Do you know what day of the week 24th of March 2009 was?
It was Tuesday.
Subodh, you are making the rest of us look bad. You are too good at this, Subodh. Be less good. Be less good at this, Subodh. You are too good. Don't tell the neurotypicals about Subodh. They can't find the best of us, all right?
I was only identified as being on the spectrum when I was 35.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to stop and kind of look around.
So So far, I really like the way that Subodh's mom talks about him. Because like we saw her in an earlier episode, and she really seems to emphasize his capability while not shaming him for having difficulties with other things, which is a very fine line, but it's a very important line to walk. Oh, excuse me. And I think she does a marvelous job of that. I think she does an absolutely phenomenal job, because Subodh has so much confidence. And when you have that much confidence, it's because your parents instilled in you, yes, I am capable. Yes, I am worthy. Yes, I deserve it. And that is so good. That is so good. You can always tell how a parent, like how an autistic, you can always tell how adults talked to an autistic person as a child based off of what they say about themselves. Like if an autistic person says, I don't feel like I'm worthy of love, or I feel like I'm a burden, it's because people talk to them like they were a burden, unfortunately. And I don't think that Subodh's parents have done that. I think that they were doing a fantastic job with their son.
Dates. What we're really wanting to do is find things that we both like, that we can talk about together, some
Yes.
common interests.
Oh, I like to study about the world cities and airports.
That's fantastic. So I believe your family...
The World Series is actually a very good starting point to discuss. Like, that's actually going to be very easy to find some common interests with, because a lot of people love baseball. A lot of people love baseball. The World Series is baseball, right? I'm a theater kid, so I'm just guessing. But yeah, that's a good starting off point. Like I'm a theater kid. I don't know baseball, but even I could work with the World Series, because I know who the Dodgers are, I know who the Yankees are, I know who the Red Sox are, I know that there's a rivalry between the Yankees and the Red Sox. So like, there we go. We could already start a conversation based off of that.
So we have set up a special little practice area to look at those little moments of social interaction that we don't think about, that are so built.
I think that this little moment right here is brilliant. I think that is brilliant, because a lot of autistic people would fare better in social situations if we had a practice run. If we had a practice run, not just any practice run, but somewhere. Oh, he said World Cities? I thought he said World Series. I'm dumb then. Well, that's not going to make it in my final edit. It will make it in the final edit. I'm so dumb. Anyways, a lot of autistic people would do so much better in social situations if we not only had a practice run of them, but if we had a practice run somewhere safe. By having this practice run here at his house, that is setting up a safe environment where he can learn and practice for a date. I love this. This is brilliant. This is a great way of helping prepare him for the dating world. I cannot emphasize this enough, how much this is a good choice.
What do they taste like?
Tastes like snails.
That's a good answer.
Escargot is that is one I am too scared to try. Like, I try to, as an autistic person, it is very hard for me to branch out and like try new things. Escargot is one of the things that is at the bottom of the list of new things to try when it comes to food, because just the thought of a snail, eating a snail.
Thank you so much, Subodh. May I please have the French onion soup?
I wonder if they just edited it out. They probably did, judging by that little like fade right there. But there is a really important dance to do with conversation in between ordering and your food getting there. in between ordering your food and your food getting there is when you talk about like all of the superficial things, like what do you do for a living? What's your favorite movie? You know, you try and entertain your date while you wait for your food, because there's not a lot of talking being done while eating because you're stuffing your face. So if you ever decide to do practice runs with autistic people like this for a first date, always be sure to go over that little section, because that is for me as a person who dates, that is for me as an autistic person who dates, that is both the hardest part and also the part where I will decide whether or not I like that person. Like if that is a very time sensitive window. If by the time my food gets here, I am not interested in talking to you, there will not be another date. That's just, it's not happening. So that part is really important to go over with autistic people.
I think you should not ask for splitting bill on the first date.
I personally am not like opposed to splitting the bill on a first date. I make it very clear when I go out on a first date with somebody, because I don't like to assume that people are just going to pay for me. So I make it very, very apparent up in front. Hey, I'm broke, so if you want to invite me out to dinner, that's fine. I will just sit and enjoy your company. And then they have the option of being like, no, I got it. Because I don't like assuming that people will just pay for me. Because like, what if you do if they don't have any money to pay for me? Like what do I do? Just go back and wash dishes? I'm fucked. I don't wash dishes. I'm kidding. But that was a really important step that they had to go over with him. Like, I don't like that. That's my personal preference. This is literally just my personal preference, where like, I think that like, it is okay if you split the bill on a first date, but I do like that they addressed that so that he didn't walk in blind. Like, so that he didn't just walk in assuming that they would split the bill or assuming that he had to pay. Like, I like that they went over whether or not he should. That way he didn't make any assumptions and she didn't make any assumptions, which is really important.
There is a medieval Renaissance fair in New York that looks pretty interesting. I mean, would you be interested in checking it out? Would you like to go there and see it?
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I've never been to a Renaissance fair.
A Renaissance fair is actually a great idea for a date. That is a brilliant idea for a date, because it shows, one, something that you're interested in, that you really get a lot of joy out of, and two, it also is it adds to the it also gives you more chances for conversation. So like, you're not going to have as many awkward pauses at a Renaissance fair, especially if one of you hasn't been there before. You're not going to have as many awkward pauses because there's always something to look at and you can have conversation based off of that. You don't necessarily, and in that case, you don't necessarily have to be asking them questions about themselves in order to learn about them. You learn a lot by the things that they say based off of what they see. So like, say you're walking through the Renaissance fair and you see a sword and you're like, oh my God, that's a sword. That's so cool. You didn't have to ask them any personal question. Now you know that they like swords. They think that that stuff is cool. You walk by, like, I don't know. I've never been to a Renaissance fair, but you see that they have a costume on and you're like, oh, wow. Okay. I didn't have to ask you if you like to dress up to these things. You already have a costume. That's a safe bet that you have the ability to dress up at them. It's a Renaissance fair is a brilliant idea for a date.
Yeah, definitely. Well, have a good one.
I love that we as autistic people don't really do like beating around the bush. Like, once the conversation has reached its goal, we're done with the conversation.
So she might enjoy your company more after a couple of beers.
Dad, stop it, all right? You're annoying me.
Oh, James, I'm sorry. Why is everybody annoying you?
I told you there's too much micromanagement.
So, I don't think he's embarrassed and overwhelmed by his parents in and of themselves. I think he's sick of them infantilizing him. Because they're basically like telling him exactly how to go on the date. And I think he feels as though he is perfectly capable of being on this date without their advice. If he needs their advice, he will ask it. Like, I think that what he is upset about is them infantilizing him and assuming that he's not capable of doing this without their advice.
Management.
Okay. So when you have your conversation, I know you might mention.
If I were to
that you
go to
have
a
couple of
Renaissance
really-
fair, the first thing that I would show off is that, one, I have 2 swords. Pretty cool. And 2, I also know how to use them. So, oh yeah. I am the hottest when it comes to that. And I've yet never been to a Renaissance fair. Like, all of my friends have gone. I'm the only one who hasn't gone. It's so annoying.
Have I mentioned that I'd love to have a flamethrower?
Yes, you have.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you have.
What are you going to use a flamethrower for?
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, it's good for melting snow or ice, or like burning away shrubbery,
can you see your neighbor?
But if I was tied up with wet ropes, I'd need to burn through wet ropes or something, you know.
Outdoor fires are regulated.
Oh.
It's great for cooking s'mores. You know, just have somebody stand with a s'more on a very long stick, and then have the person with the flamethrower stand like 15 feet away, and just perfectly cooked s'more.
The boy that I'm dating is the right one.
You mean Solomon?
Yes. I don't know he's the right one. I don't know.
You've only been on 2 dates with him. You should not be sure whether or not he's the right one. After 2 dates, you should not be sure whether or not that person is the right one.
No.
So you're not supposed to know, like, the first time. I mean, she chased me for years.
Animation's my life, and I don't think he's into animation at all.
What does he like to do? What's his
spiritual?
She also didn't ask if he was into animation. Because she was so caught up with the idea of love that she forgot to get to know him first.
Life is not a Disney princess movie, Danny.
No.
Nope. What's your plan?
Here is the thing. We have a problem with the way that Disney and movies have conditioned us to believe that love is. And autistic people especially are very vulnerable to that kind of conditioning. Like when we're taught that that's what love is, like when we watch, because a lot of the social rules that I have learned from film and television. And that is because that's the closest thing I've gotten to a manual to how the social norms work. And the way that Disney and movies have conditioned us to believe that love happens, like this big lightning bolt crash, love at first sight kind of thing, it puts us in a very difficult position where we believe that that's the only way that love exists. Now, I'm not going to say that love doesn't exist like that, because, sometimes it does. It's very rare, but it happens. But for the most part, real love takes time, hard work, and just a lot of patience. A lot of patience. And I think it's sad because, like, when we believe that that's the only way love exists is through the Disney movie lens, when we can't find that, a lot of times we internalize that and think, wow, I can't find that because I'm not normal, so I don't deserve it. Or at least that's what I did. And it's taken me a long time to unlearn that.
She doesn't like skunks
That is a
or
great
people
film.
losing their temper.
Hi, I'm Rachel. Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Sabah.
Now that it was pointed out by by the one TikToker earlier. Yeah, I really have issues with the way that they present the dates. They like this, this, and this. They don't like this, this, and this. That is kind of extremely infantilizing. And it kind of just puts us, it puts us in boxes based off of like our likes and dislikes. And there's so much more to us as people. Like, what do they want? What does she want in life? Does she want to get married? Does she want to have kids? Does she want to be a big action movie star? Like, does she want to be a pop singer? What does she want? It says so much more about her than what she likes and doesn't like. And I hate that they're just kind of diminishing it. Like, they're kind of watering us down to what we like and what we don't like, and I don't like that.
My favorite comedy is the movie White Chicks.
Yes.
With the Wayans brothers.
I actually just saw one of the Wayans brothers from White Chicks do stand-up comedy like 2 months ago, and it was terrible. I sat in the front row, and in the year of our Lord 2022, all of his jokes were about women being overweight. And when that didn't get a laugh because the audience was mostly women, he then did a Rain Man impression. And I just sat there and I was just like, am I really seeing this with my autistic eyeballs in the year 2022? We're really doing Rain Man impressions? And the sad thing is he was doing the Rain Man impression to make fun of somebody who wanted to take a picture with him. And I was just like, that's really mean. Why would you do that? Like, that's really mean.
My favorite TV shows is Dancing with Stars and American Idol.
Let's change the topic. Can we change the topic?
Sure, go ahead.
I wish that was acceptable in neurotypical society to do. But like with neurotypicals, you kind of have to gently segue into another topic. I wish I could just flat out say that I don't give a fuck about American Idol or Dancing with the Stars. Because those are the two shows that I really care the least about. But I can't say that to somebody who likes American Idol and Dancing with the Stars. Like, I can't just not talk about it.
So I just want to talk to Solomon. We've enjoyed our dating times and everything, but unfortunately we're not compatible.
Okay, so this is another reason why it's really important not to love bomb people. Because when she started becoming infatuated with the idea of love and she started love bombing him, it built up this idea in his head that they are compatible. And now it's going to come out of nowhere that they're not for him. And she's not a bad person for doing this. She did not do this intentionally. Don't get me wrong. This is something that I think that she genuinely just got caught up with the emotions and with the infatuation. But this is how we need to keep ourselves in check to avoid hurting other people, because I would not be shocked if he felt very led on by her. All right, I hate to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, but that is all the time I have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you next time. Bye.